Remember, as the temperature of the muscle goes up, that's what makes you feel fatigued. That's what slows you down. That's what prevents you from contracting your muscle. None of those things are what you want if you're running a race. You can do up to 6 times the workload at the track. That's a better training stimulus. And when the heat would normally cause you to stop early and go home, you could actually go your normal amount or even longer. Hey, Run Elite, welcome. Welcome. We are gonna do an awesome, amazing training today. If you run in the heat, if you are racing, you're probably doing one or both of those, right? For everybody, this is gonna be a game changer for you. I'm gonna share with you how you can dump heat out of your body really rapidly. Now, when you go to exercise, right? Eventually, I'm not gonna be able to do anymore, so I'm gonna drop it. Muscle's tired, right? But if I wait 10 minutes or so, I could come back and pick it up and do some more. So the muscle wasn't totally gone, it just was fatigued right then and had to stop. Okay, what caused that fatigue? There's a number of reasons, but one of the things that's happening is the temperature of that muscle or parts of the muscle are getting higher and higher and higher. Every time you use a muscle, it produces heat. You use it a lot, you use it maximally, it produces more heat, okay? And now eventually, what's gonna happen is the temperature is gonna go up to a point where your ability to create energy is poor, very bad, okay? There's a molecule called ATP, and you need to produce ATP all the time. You're producing it. And if the temperature goes up, now you can't produce ATP, so your body's gonna shut you down, all right? Now, I'm gonna share with you how powerful it is to actually dump heat through your palms in order to improve your performance. Now, in 2012, there were a number of athletes and athletic teams who participated in a study. They did maximum tests for pull-ups and for dips. It was like, let's call it 10 minutes. In a 10-minute period, how many pull-ups can you do? And for this athlete, the answer was 100. It was just about 100. Now, the next day, he came back and they used Palmar cooling. So what he would do is he would do a set of pull-ups, and every other set would put on a glove. And the glove had negative pressure in it. It's like creates a vacuum, so it'll blow up the vein even more, right? You don't need to do that. But put on a glove and it circulated cool water in contact with his palm. Not freezing water, just cool water with one palm. And they did that for anywhere from 30 seconds to 3 minutes. And they did it every other set. Okay, now in the same amount of time, the day before he did 100 pull-ups. And that was to maximum. So anytime you do a maximum exercise of any level, the next day you're sore, you're tired, you can do less, right? So you would expect the next day he would do maybe 90 or something like that. But the truth was that the next day with this Palmar cooling, he did, take a guess, going from 100 to what? The answer is 180 pull-ups in the same amount of time, almost double. Okay, now here's the craziest part. You ready? Craziest part is that this has a cumulative effect. The same group of athletes, but this particular athlete put cooled his palm basically with this mitt every day. And I don't know the mechanism. I don't know how this is possible, but it had a cumulative effect of his body's ability to be able to cool and remember, when you cool, you're keeping those enzymes intact so that they can make ATP. He did this for a week and came back and retested. And when he retested, guess how many he could do this time after a week? Go ahead, type in the comments or think to yourself, ask yourself. Went from 100 to 180, now he cooled his palm for a week and came back and did the pull-ups again with the Palmar cooling, and how many could you do? And the answer is a whopping, massive 600. 600. 600! Just think about that for a second. Now, I would be very likely to if I heard something like this, to throw it away, throw it in the garbage and be like, oh yeah, sure, yeah. I mean, that's better than if you took any kind of like steroids and wore illegal shoes and had a rocket booster on your pack. It's better than that, right? But this research was done very well. It's published in the peer-reviewed journals. You can go find this right now. Look for AVA Technologies, Palmar cooling. It's out of Stanford University where they did this. Wow, right, 6 times. And I'm just gonna keep saying that, right? It was 6 times better. Can you get 6 times better with anything athletic by training for a year? Like maybe, if you're really bad when you start. Can you get 6 times better if you take drugs, steroids or whatever, EPO? Could you get 6 times better if you run downhill? Could you get 6 times better if you do the Wim Hof breathing technique? Well, actually, you can get twice as good if you do that. This is pretty staggering, okay? It's flippin' staggering. So how can you apply this? Well, you're not gonna wear one of these mitts when you go out and run. By the way, they did this research with endurance athletes as well, but you don't test endurance athletes to maximum over a 10-minute period the same way. And they got similar effects. There are 3 places on your body where you have these AVAs. It's an artery to vein connection, basically, or articulation. So one of these is on the palms of your hands. The other one is the soles of our feet. And third is your face. So these are the 3 areas where you have this artery basically going straight to a vein. And this is where you can cool yourself off rapidly. Why would you want to cool yourself off rapidly? Remember, as the temperature of the muscle goes up, that's what makes you feel fatigued. That's what slows you down. That's what stops you. That's what prevents you from contracting a muscle. None of those things are what you want if you're running a race, is it? You want to be able to go fast, feel good, push hard, contract the muscle, okay? So you have to get rid of heat. How are you going to do it when it's hot outside? How do I dump the heat? Oh yeah, sure. I guess my palms and my face and my feet could dump some heat, but they feel pretty warm to me. Yeah, okay. Until you put them in touch with a cold surface, like a bottle of cold water or any cold material, cold rock even. So what can you do? You have to get creative here, okay? Here's what I suggest, a can of frozen pineapple juice. Okay, they're small, but they're made of metal. So if you have like a water bottle or a running water bottle that's made of plastic or rubber is gonna conduct heat less well than metal. So I suggest that you get yourself some of these little pineapple juice things. Now, if you're running intervals on the track though, you have a lot more control, don't you? If you're not in a race, if you're not out on a 10-mile run, if you're on the track where you're coming back to the same point and then you're stopping anyway, what I would do is, remember, it's not just your hands, it's your palms of your hands, soles of your feet, and your face. So if you have the opportunity on a track, for example, get the cool water, put your hands in it, splash it on your face, and if you really want, take your shoes off and put your feet in it. Just the bottoms of your feet or your whole foot, and you only need to do it for 30 seconds to 3 minutes. Anywhere in that range is gonna do a great job. Now, here's the one way that you can mess this up. Colder does not equal better. No. Here's why. If you hold a block of ice in your hand, right, you're gonna get vasoconstriction to where those nice little AVAs, those those wide diameter vessels, they're going to contract, right? If you put ice anywhere on your body, it gets red, it gets cold, you lose the sensation, and the blood goes away from it, right? If you were gonna be walking out in the Arctic somewhere, you'd get frostbite on your toes and fingers first, so the blood goes away towards your organs to keep you warm, right? You don't want to have vasoconstriction. If you do, not only can you not dump heat very well, you dump heat less well. So if you ran holding 2 blocks of ice, I would argue that you're gonna overheat. I know you would. It's not gonna work. So you don't want it to be that cold, but you want it to be just nice and cool. Whatever temperature that is. And there's quite a range on this because it seems to be individual for each person. But it's gonna be nice and cool, like a nice cool lake, but not cold like an ice bath. So here's how you can get around that. Here's an idea. You can get one of those cans of pineapple juice, you can freeze it, and then take it out of your bag in a race or something like that and hold it in one hand for 10 seconds and then swap hands, and then swap hands, and then swap hands. So it never has a chance to really vasoconstrict, it's just cooling. And you run and it's cooling, and you swap hands and you keep swapping hands. And then when it warms up, it'll stay cool for whatever, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. When it starts to warm up, crack it open, drink it, throw it, and you're hydrating and you're cooling from the inside too, all right? That is the best way that I can think to do this. Now, why would you want to do that at the track? Well, you can do up to 6 times the workload that you otherwise could. Now, what you can't do is it's not going to make you run faster at top end speed. It doesn't give you magical powers. What it does is allows you to contract your muscle more often and over a long period of time, which is great for us because we're distance runners, right? So it's not going to make you faster in the 100 or even the 200, probably even your 400. But when you do 400 and then again and again and again, it definitely will. Is it going to make you 6 times better? Apparently. I mean, when we look at the pull-up exercise, yes, it can make you 6 times better, at least the amount of reps. So that would indicate that you could do 6 times the amount of reps on the track or something like it. Not 6 times faster, right? 6 times the amount. You can go for longer. That's a better training stimulus. And when the heat would normally cause you to stop early and go home, you could actually go your normal amount or even longer. All right? So I want you guys to get creative about how you could implement this. If you're carrying a water bottle anyway, might as well make it a cold water bottle. Might as well hold them in your hand. Might as well use something that's maybe metal as opposed to plastic. Or if it is plastic, freeze the inside of it and hold it in your hand for 30 seconds. Drink some, put it back, run for a little bit. And then after another few minutes or 10 minutes, however often you can, hold them in your hands again, cool them down. And the sky's the limit. I'm not gonna tell you how you can do this. You're probably even more creative than I can be with figuring out ways that you can implement this. If you're racing in the heat, I would do whatever it takes to make sure that you have access to cool water in the middle of the race, whatever it takes. And think about this, right? This will be the last thing I say. This is intuitive. We know this. It's crazy. We already know this. I'll prove it to you. It's intuitive. When it's hot outside and you're running and you come up to a creek, what do? Do you like lay down in it with your chest, or do you put your knees in it? No, you put your hands in it. That's probably the first thing. You put your hands in it. And then what do? You probably splash your face. Just intuitively. We don't rationally, I didn't know this rationally. I just knew it felt good. Wash the sweat off my face, cool my palms. So you can take this to the moon, do as much as you want. Make sure that you don't vasoconstrict. That'll make it worse. Otherwise, have fun with this. I'm glad to have shared this with you. I hope that you enjoy. Happy long run and stay cool.